Influencers, hipsters, get your wallets ready. You're gonna want this. So the Fujifilm X100Vi or X106 has been. Buddy, do you wanna come be in the video? Come on. Come here. So the X100Vi boasts some modest upgrades to. So the Fujifilm X100Vi, or X106 as some are calling it, has officially been announced by Fujifilm. The X100Vi is going to boast some modest improvements for photographers and some pretty hefty improvements for videographers. Most notably the 40 megapixel sensor, which is upgraded from the 26 megapixel sensor in the previous model. This is going to be the same sensor that's in the X-T5 and the X-H2. With that's going to come some video improvements, some sharpness and resolution enhancements, and it's going to be an equivalent to 90 megapixels on a full frame sensor. So you're going to be able to pull a lot of detail and a lot of sharpness out of these. No improvements to the built-in lens that's on it, but from what I've seen, the rendering of these images is going to be just fine. The lens was sharp enough for the 26 megapixels, and it's going to be sharp enough for the 40 megapixel sensor as well. Along with the new sensor is going to come 2 new film simulations, those being Rela Ace and Eternal Bleach Bypass, which a lot of people have been wanting to see since the GFX Mark II has gotten these. Word on the street is that Fujifilm is going to give these to the X-T5, the X-H2, the X-H2S, and the XS20 at some point in the future with a firmware update, but we haven't seen them yet. Now I do want to say, don't get too hung up on film simulations, because with how editable these are and how much you can toy and tinker with them, you're going to be able to make a film simulation that just about any photographer or videographer is going to have good images and be able to show the style that they like anyway. So if you're thinking of upgrading just for these, I wouldn't. So the biggest and most exciting improvements, in my opinion, are to the video department. Most notably, we're getting 6 stops of in-body image stabilization when using the electronic screen, 5.5 stops when using the hybrid electric optical viewfinder. Fujifilm hasn't stated why there is a half-stop difference as of yet, but I'm assuming it's something to do with how the hybrid electric viewfinder is functioning with the in-body image stabilization system. We're also getting 4 stops of built-in ND filters, which is very exciting in my opinion, especially for video shooters to not have to carry extra lens filters or anything like that. There's no word as of right now if you're going to be able to use those variably or if it's just going to be an on and off function. Along with this added video functionality, you're going to get a few new codecs and 10-bit recording on this sensor. So 6.2K up to 30 frames per second at a 1.23 times crop. Along with that, you're going to get 4K 60 frames per second at a 1.14 times crop. 4K 30 and 24 will use the full width of the sensor, however these will not be open gate. There is also a downsampled 4K from 6.2K video functionality. I have read from the initial reviewers that there's some pretty hefty rolling shutter with these, so I guess there could be improvements to the data rates, but that's to be determined on the consumer end. Along with that, you're going to get full HD at up to 240 frames per second, so full super slow-mo, which could be useful for quite a few people, especially if you're doing street photography, street videography, that kind of stuff. A first for Fujifilm is the cloud support. So camera to cloud with Adobe Frame.io system. So you'll be able to shoot in camera and transfer files directly to a cloud. And these will be photo and video, JPEG, RAW, and all of your 10-bit video files. So some other notable features include the artificial intelligence autofocusing, which supposedly is going to be equivalent to Sony's autofocusing. That's yet to be determined. There's pretty much the industry standard of Sony and Canon's autofocus, and Fujifilm is not quite living up to that yet. Not that it's bad, but does leave some to be desired. There will be a built-in skin smoothing effect with your JPEG, so kind of like a beauty shot type deal. I don't know how useful this will be, but pretty cool to have it on there at least. There's pre-assigned physical dials, so things like exposure compensation, your shutter speed, etc., same as the previous models, and it is going to have a hefty steel design, same as the X100V. We're adding custom autofocus zones and pre-shoot burst, which can be useful, especially in like a street photography setting, to grab stuff before you really even get a full chance to dial in, press that button, all that stuff. And then built in are 1.4 times and 2 times digital teleconverters. Now, we've seen all the tests with digital cropping. It seems to be that you're better off taking a picture, especially with a sensor this high resolution, take your photo and then crop in post-production. But it's cool to be able to like preview that via the optical viewfinder and the EVF. As far as battery life goes, we're seeing the same, about 450 shots off of this battery. It is the same battery as the few previous models, which is the NPW126S. So thinner battery, they're fairly cheap, easy to pocket. You can pick up a few of these. I would have liked to see some improvements to the battery life, but not a huge deal. Now, let's talk about price. So Fuji has moved their production plant from Japan to China, so you would expect to see on the consumer end that we would keep at least the same prices that we've expected for the X100 line. However, this is going up by $200, so it's going to pre-order at $1599.95. Pre-order links are available now, and you can find those in the description. Now, I do want to say, because production has moved to China, this should be a more accessible camera than the X100 was, or the X100V was, depending on how many influencers and hipsters and street photographers are able to get their hands on it. I'm hoping we don't see a market crash like we did with the X100V, where it initially came out at the $1399 price and then was being resold as high as I've seen, like $3,000 on eBay. I'm hoping that some more photographers are able to get their hands on this and that it's accessible, because it is a great camera and it seems to be like a lot of fun. However, it doesn't fill a lot of niches for the professional photographer. So it is more of a fun camera, more of a daily carry. It is interesting to have a camera that's pocketable, not have to worry about changing a lens. However, for us particularly, we're gonna stick with our XS20. I don't plan on pre-ordering this, nor do I plan on potentially purchasing it until, further down the line. I may look into the X100Vs now, because the expectation is that these are gonna drop significantly in the market. So now I'd like to hear from you. Sound off in the comments. Do you think this is a big enough improvement to jump ship from your X100V, or to even be a first-time purchaser of the X100 series? Is it affordable in a sense of, are you getting what you pay for with how you're gonna be able to use it? Like I said, we are definitely not gonna be pre-ordering one of these. I don't see us purchasing one anytime soon. I would like to have my hands on one to review it, but it's not that big of a deal to us. And while you're down there sounding off in the comments, letting us know what you think, your thoughts, feelings, and all of that on the Fujifilm X100Vi, or the X106 as some are calling it, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button for more videos like this, and we will see you on the next one.